Welcome. In this lesson, we are going to um, cover variables and data in Python. Variables and data in Python. And variables and data are like the building blocks of everything that we have in Python. So let me say, oh, let me say variables and data in Python. So I'm going to switch this to a markdown cell. We have variable and data in Python. Now, so what are we going to be covering here? We are going to be covering the following points. Number one is we are going to be looking into data, what data is, what is a data. Number two, what are the types of data? That is data types. Then number three, we're going to be looking at variables and why we need them. And that is going to be then number four, we're going to be looking at basic built-in functions. For working with variables and data. These are the things that we're going to be covering in this particular session. Let's get into it. So what is a data? So we have our code cell here, and a data is values in Python, values, objects really that we pass into that we pass around. Usually, whenever you write a program in Python, whether Python for data science, analytics, machine learning, whatever it is, backend engineering, it is basically the program that you're creating will basically be acting on data. All right, and those and you can think of data as information values that you are passing into the program. So, for example, two is a data. So I could go 2 plus 3, and this is a data. 2 is a data, 3 is a data, and this plus here is actually an operator, an arithmetic operator, and this returns 5. Is that right? So that is what data is. Information that we are giving, that we are supplying into the program that we are trying to create, right? And another important thing is that we have different types of data, right? We have different types of data, and um, some of them, let's list the important ones. Number one is whenever you see something like 10, this is going to be an integer. So I think this is the part where we actually list out data types. Let me come to this place and add text cell and say data types. So here we can have the following data types. So we have integers, and they are always denoted by int, and they're like something like 2, 3, 4, whole numbers, 40, stuff like that, whether positive or negative. Then we have floats, and they are decimal, 22.3 or 3.5, anything that has decimal. Then we have strings. Strings are basically letters. So we can have John, Steph, like that. Then we can also have Boolean, which is going to be true or false. So So whenever you see true or false, you know that is Boolean. And what else? Integers, floats, strings, Boolean. So that's basically the the primitive data types, the basic data types in Python. Now, how can we actually check types? How can we check these different data types? So, for example, uh, um, let's say we are already getting to, we are going to come around, to variables, but we need to actually firstly learn some built-in data types. So, if you want to check a data type in Python, what you would use is the type. So if you go type and you say type of two and you run that, it is going to return integer. And if you go type of um Steph, that is going to go string, right? It's telling you that this is a string data type. And now another interesting thing is if you come here and you say type of true, true, like this. Now you would expect it to print firstly for Steph saying string and also print the type of true as boolean, but it is not going to do that. It's only going to print out the last one, which is Steph here. So if we run that, it says bowl, which is the one for this true here. So how can we actually fix that? The way to fix that is to always wrap this thing in a print, because in Jupyter Notebook the last thing that gets printed is the last execution. Whatever last execution happens there is what gets printed. But if we wanted to print both of them, we are going to wrap each one in print. So the way we actually output things in Python is with print. So print this. So if we run it, we have string for this one and boolean for this other one, right? So and if we want to check for floats, we can go print type 55.3, and if we run that, it says float. Perfect. Now the next thing, and those two are actually the built-in functions that we are going to be covering for now. Just for now, let's go into variables. These are our variables. Now, let's come here and say we use print to output stuff. Then we can say we use type function to check the data type of the data or variable. Great. So now what I did here is add comments. This is the way we add comments in Python with hashtag, so you can put your comment anywhere. And Python is going to know that you should not execute that particular line. Great. So let's look at variables. So why do we need variables? The reason we need variables is because, let me run this. The reason we need variables is because um sometimes we want to like take a particular data and use it multiple times. You want to like use it, reuse it, use it again, reuse it, and all of that. So, for example, this 55.3 that we have here, we don't have a way of carrying it anymore. We have to like every time, um, you know, call it out. Now, imagine we did something like a mathematical operation, we do some arithmetic operation and all of that. We don't want to keep dividing that over and over again. So what we can do is we can actually store that in a variable, right? So how do we create variables in Python? I'm going to say creating variables in Python. How do we do that? So the way, this is just a comment. This one that you see is just a comment. So let's say I want to create a variable name. I'm going to define the name of the variable, which is name. I'm going to say name equals um let's say John, right? Then this is all I need to actually create a variable. So if I should call out name now, it's going to print John. It's going to output John like this. So I could come here and add more variables. I can say age equals 23, is married, like is married is going to be a variable, and that's going to be false. That is, John is not married, and John's salary is going to be 5567.45. So I can run all of this, then print out all this information. Print name, print age, print is married, and print salary. So if I should run all of that, it displays all of these stuff that we created earlier. Another thing that we can do is I can actually come here and check the type of each one. So let me say, I'll come and say output each of the variables. So I can come here and say check the type of each of the variable. So how do we do that? We're going to say print type, name, print type, age, print type is married, print type salary. So if you check all of that, we're going to have string, integer, boolean, and float, which is the data type corresponding with all of these thing that we've created here. Now, another built-in function that we can we can look at. However, before we even get into that, we need to show that you can actually, and which is something that you're going to be seeing a lot in the next class on operators. So we can add variables together, subtract variables. Variables are basically just like a placeholder, a container for your data. So the same way you treat your data, you can treat your variables like that. For example, I could go salary minus 3,000. So it's going to work. It's going to say 52,650 because 670 because salary here is 55,670. So, but we are going to cover that extensively in the next class. So, yeah, the next thing we will look at is some other built-in functions that can help us. And what is the built-in function that we want to look at here is the ones that help us to do type conversion. Type conversion. So we can actually convert things from one type to another. Can convert data variable from one type to another. For example, we have the variable, and you can only convert things that is supported, like if the conversion can happen. For example, um, age is, for example, if you print out age, let's look at age. Age is 23, and if we check the type of age, say print type of age, and if I run this, it says integer, but I can actually change that. Or let me do this. I can change that. At the beginning, age is uh integer, but I can come here and change it. So I can say age is equal to, I want to change it to float. I want to say float age. So this basically means saying change the age that is already integer, change it to float. Now after that, let's print out the type of age and run it. So at the start, it is integer, which is here. Then after our conversion, it is what? Float. And also we can do something like print, we can also convert, let's say age to string. So we want to do that, we say string str and we do age. So if we run this, it has changed. So if we should print out the type, um, let's come to this place. I'm coming. We can do age equals string age. Then we print type age and we run that. And it says string. So age is now a string. However, there are some things that you cannot convert. For example, you cannot convert a string to integer or float. For example, you cannot do um, name. Name is already a string, right? Name is a string. John. So if we should check type of John of name, it's going to go string. So we cannot actually cast that. If we say name equals string, sorry, int name, that is, we want to convert John to integer, and we say print type name, it's going to throw an error. So it says that invalid literal for int with base 10 John. That is, you cannot convert John to any number in base 10. So it throws this value error. So it is important to know that you can only convert things, that common sense wise you can convert. For example, you can convert float to integer, integer to float, integer to string, and that's just about it. And Boolean also. So yeah, that is that. So the last thing that we are going to look at is how to accept things. Sometimes you want to accept data from users. So for example, you want to do something like write a program that accepts a user's name and return the name. So we could go something like this. Name equals, then we can go Femi. Name is Femi. Then we can print the name. Then here we have the name here. But that's not what we want to do, because if we want to change his name to James, we have to edit it here. Right? We are literally going back into the code to edit it. So let's say we don't want something like that. We want to actually give the users a box for them to type things into. So we use input. Say input like this. And if we run that, we get this box, this little box here, and we can type the name. Then again, we can run it again without editing, and we can go William, and it prints out the name. Now, another thing is this box here, we can actually, like, imagine you want to accept something like, okay, let me show you this. Say Karen. Let's say we want to accept age also. Say age equals input. Then we run this. Well, the user does not know what they should put in it. They might put age first and put name again. So which is wrong input. So we can actually like label this by adding this and say enter your name here. You can add some string here to you know serve as a description that it can use. So we say enter your name, and here we're going to say enter your age, and we can after that print age also. So if we run this, it says, can you see now the box is labeled? It says enter your name. I know that I should put my name here, so I can go Mark, and it says enter your age. So here I can go 22, and I get Mark, and I get 22 because I printed this out. So this is how you are going to accept user input. And the last thing that we're going to be learning in this particular series, in this particular lesson today, is string formatting. How to actually present our output in a very nice way. String formatting. So One of the things I like to use, the particular way that I like to format string is with something called f string. So what does that mean? That means that we can sometimes we want to combine, you know, our variable outputs with some strings. For example, we want to write a program that accepts someone's name and greets them. So we accept their name with input. So we say input, then we can go enter your name, and we can come here and say, can print out their name here, right? So we have Femi, then we get just this output Femi. But we want to actually say, hi Femi, how are you? So what we can use, we can use something called F. There are like a lot of ways, a lot of different ways of formatting strings, formatting outputs in Python. But the one that I find you know easiest to use is the F string. So how does that work? So we're going to start with F, and we're going to use a quote like this. So I'm going to say what we actually want to type is we want to combine I, you know, Femi, how are you? Something like this, right? Something like this. So if I should run this, it's going to work. If I should pass in Femi, it works. But the problem is, it says hi Femi, how are you? But the problem is, if I should pass in James now, it is still going to be saying hi Femi, how are you? Because I hard coded this Femi in here, and it should be a variable. It should be this variable. So what I'm going to do is come here and say name, this variable name. Then we run this and we say Femi again, and it's going to say hi name, how are you? Because we are putting this name here within the string. So the way for us to tell Python that this name here should be a variable is by adding these curly braces here. So the curly braces here, not square bracket, curly braces here, yeah. Then here also. So the moment I run this now and I say Joshua, we get hi Joshua, how are you? If we run Mohammed, if we do Mohammed like this and we run it, we get hi Mohammed, how are you? So this is string formatting, how to combine variables with strings, and it's something that you're going to be seeing a lot as we proceed. So that is everything that we want to cover on variables and data. We've learned how variables work. We've seen the different data types. We've seen variables and why we need variables, and we've seen basic built-in functions. So we look at functions like type, print, input. Then we look at built-in functions for type conversions, float, string, and all of that stuff. So in the next class on operators, we are going to cover how to um, put together a very solid program, simple programs that perform tasks and that are way more meaningful than what we've done currently. So I'm going to see you in the next one. Thank you.